Hello YouTube! I'm a big fan of Westerns, and when I was a kid I was a big fan of Lego, and I still keep my hand in Lego. I like to know what Lego are bringing out, but I don't generally buy a lot. But when this Lone Ranger train came out in 2013, I knew I had to have it because it's just beautiful. I never had any of the Western stuff in the 90s when I was a kid, and I still like Westerns, and so I decided to treat myself, and I just had to have it. It was only after I bought it that I realized there's a big community online of people who also love it, which is great, and many of them have tried to motorize it. And when I saw that they'd done this, I really wanted to have a go as well. Now, I wasn't entirely satisfied with the way that everyone else had done it. I mean, the way they'd done it was fine. Most people, I think, try to build out the prison car or build a whole new car that looked like what the prison car. And that seems like a very good place to start. There's a lot of room in there for the motor power functions stuff. I don't have any of the motor power function stuff. All I've got is my old stuff from the 90s from when I was a kid. Because like I said, I don't keep buying all this stuff. And now, I could have splashed out on the motor power functions, but I thought I might be able to do it with what I had. Um, which brings me to the coal tinder. This is another target for people who want to motorize the train. They often build that out, make it a bit bigger. They put the battery and, well, sometimes the motorized wheels in there. I wondered whether I could get a battery in here without really having to modify it, and I was right, I could. A 9-volt battery fits right in there with very little modification. All I've really done is to alter the coal at the bottom here, and it slots right in. And I've barely had to modify anything. No one else seems to have realized this. And when I realized I could do that, and I saw someone else, I forget the name, but I'll put a link to their video at the bottom. Someone else managed to put the motor into the engine. Now, I thought this was a great idea, and I actually have the same motor that they have. So I'm using the same one, and I'm using the same method that they did. So I've copied their idea, if you like, but I was delighted that someone had managed to do it, because as far as I know, they're the only person that have. So I've done what they've done. They've used a worm screw there and a cog on the bottom. All the wiring on my old power function stuff perished, so I've had to make do with what I had and blue tack it in, which is a bit temperamental, but it seems to work. Now, the real innovation and the real reason I wanted to share my example with the community was that I've wrapped the wire around studs on the coupling, and I've never seen anyone do this. And I think maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm the first person to do it. Certainly I've looked and I can't find anyone else who's done it. So I wanted to share that with people, and I think it's a beautiful idea that the power should come from the engine, and that the fuel, the battery, should come from the coal car. And I think it's great that the two should be able to go around together without any other cars. So when I push them together, the connection's made in the circuit, and the train goes around, and it works pretty well. It's a bit jerky. It stalls every so often. Yeah, like that. It doesn't have the power to pull the other cars, unfortunately. And I'm not really sure why. I'm going to discuss the problems when it comes back around to me. Okay, so I think there could be... Whoops, I've lost my spade. I think there are two problems that I could be having. One is I wondered, well, my girlfriend actually pointed out that perhaps the driving wheel needs to be attached to the other wheels, so that it drives all three of them, and they're all pushing against the tracks together, instead of this wheel essentially pushing these wheels as well, if they all push together. So I got a piece like this, which I've seen a lot of people do, and try and get them to drive together, but it hasn't worked. I found that this wheel goes around quite quickly. This comes up at an angle like this, and it jams. And I had this problem when I tried to make this adaptation before I added the motor. I've got one of these. I did that for aesthetic purposes before I tried to motorise it, and that jammed up as well, but that was less of a problem because I was pushing it by hand. But when you're on the other side of the room and this jams up, it's really annoying. The other problem is that I'm not sure that these worm screws actually fit all that well. In fact, I know they don't fit that well because I don't know if you can see very well. I've actually had to make a cardboard washer that goes in there to fill a gap. There we go. I think you can just about see it. Those worm screws slide up and down. I'm losing a lot of power in mechanical inefficiency there. I know that, and I've tried to produce a washer to fill that gap, and that might be the problem. I'd be really interested in anyone's opinion, anyone's expert opinion. If you could leave some comments in the comments. Any ideas what I'm doing wrong, that would be really nice. In the meantime, I think I'm going to rebuild this the way it is out of the box, because at least that way I can push it around and it'll look pretty. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're impressed. Please let me know what you think. And happy building.